Hello, hello, hello. Hi, welcome back. I'm Uchenna. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have notes. I have notes. I would like to preface, personally, I don't think Love is Blind. I believe this show has just shown us that yes, you can fall in love sight unseen, but love is more than that initial attraction, right? Love is more than just sharing a connection, right? There's more to it. Without, obviously, this is, I guess in a way, it's showing that you can fall in love with someone sight unseen. I agree. But it's not just blind. So I guess the essence of the show is not wrong, but that's not all that there is. You can't always overcome the other things that's required for you to stay in a partnership. But anyway, without so many blonde women, so many, I couldn't tell them apart. I was really struggling. This review of sorts is going to show how much I struggled. I couldn't tell one person from the other. Like, my names are kind of discombobulated because I was like, which blonde is this? Well, you know, it's stressful. To be honest, they have very distinct different faces, but at the start of it, it's very different. Also, the editing style this season is definitely different from the last one, but I think it's because they're trying to show us more, right? They showed us an incident that kind of happened outside. They showed us a couple in the pause that didn't even make it to the engagement stage. I guess they made it to the engagement stage, but they didn't make it to Cabo or the holiday place. So it was nice to actually see that journey. I'm not going to lie to you. It was nice to see that. There was a lot of, oh, you'll make a great mum. Netflix or Love is Blind producers, you're making me think that you're part of the PSYOP or whatever it is. You're trying to convince women to have children and to breed. What if they don't want to breed big men? Like, what's going on? Oh, I think you make a great mom. Oh, I think you make a great mom. I just feel like you're, and so many, oh, I'll be a great dad. We'll kick it in the I'll be a coach. A lot of that. And I'm just like, that's the fantasy. Because of this fantasy play, I can imagine you as a family, all this bullshit. Okay. And that's just me being a realist. I'm not a cynic. Not really. I'm a realist. And anyway, I'm just thinking, do the men think that it's a compliment? I guess it kind of is in a way, like if it's something that you really want, but if it's something that you're not sure about, like one of the other women on the show, then it might just be something that models the water, you know? I don't know. It's just, people also, it's a thing that people say, especially when you say, oh, you don't have to, they'll be like, oh, you actually make a good one because, oh, you're actually thinking about it. So, you know, there's people like you that always make good parents. Fuck off. Okay, not fuck off, but you know, it's exhausting. I promise you're not the first person to say it. So just, you know. Also, something I noticed, I think towards the end, maybe like day something, they must tell them to bring some type of gift, something that they can exchange. Because I've noticed someone got a Rolex, yeah, people got letters, scrapbooks, all sorts. It's very interesting. I guess they definitely, I also remember in other seasons they had that. So they must tell them to bring that as a way to kind of, I don't know, share something about yourself or open up. Good for you, I guess. Did I say I like the editing? I kind of like the editing. I also like that we were able to see more couples, like I said before. I think, how many got engaged? 6 got engaged? We could have even had a 7. And I believe, so I'm not sure with the editing style. It seemed like it's either Vic and Christine that got added to the group last minute, or Devontae and Brittany, because we didn't really get to see their story. I guess I didn't have so much drama during the pods, like there wasn't that much to them really. It seems relatively smooth sailing. Yeah, I think Devontae and Brittany, to be honest, are the additions because I think they came in at like episode 3 and I'm like, who are these lot? Sorry, who's that again? Because I remember her from the beginning. I didn't remember him. He doesn't leave much to be. Anyway, that will come later. Those producers, they're trying, because if it was me, I don't know how I'd be interviewing these people with a straight face, because I'd have opinions and I wouldn't be able to keep them off my face. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. I couldn't keep my opinions off my face. It will be very clear. Anyway, moving on. Now we'll go into the actual review. So I'm going to talk about each couple while they were in the pods. So we'll start with Jordan and Amber. I'm not going to lie. I thought she was going to have more of a problem with what he looked like. I was judging her from the start and I was ready to lambast her. But turns out she likes it there. And you know what? I'm happy for her. I do, however, think he's kind of a slob, but that's just my opinion. It's got nothing to do with his weight. It's more to do with what I've seen him act like. I feel like I'm going to get roasted for this. Pardon me, I have a cold, so I probably don't sound right. So I'm trying to record this and get it out, and get it edited and get it out as soon as I possibly can. So bear with me. Anyway, Jordan and Amber, their story, he likes the outdoors, he likes reading, food, she has a daughter. She kind of asked him the whole, are you sure you want to, in the middle, they made a joke about her being 7 years old and he's not going to be there for like the terrible stage because, right now she's somewhat there, she's present type shit. It's coming in halfway, blah, blah, blah. I think she's the one who wants to be judged for who she is. She doesn't, because she's a very, very, very good looking woman. She tends to have kind of always gone for assholes. So she's gone for a sweet guy this time. And she said he's a good guy. He's nice. I think I saw on TikTok that they said someone called someone fat, but there's a bit more context to it because she was like, oh, like, I think they were making a joke about how, imagine if they went out and he was like a 60-year-old fat guy, something like that. And then they kind of giggled and he was like, well, at least I'm not 61 years old. So I think from there, she kind of got that he might be a little bit bigger. But I think she was happy with what she saw. And Jordan's like, he's fine, he's all right, he's not ugly or anything. If he's happy, I'm happy, I don't really care. Do I? I think I do, a little bit. Just a teeny bit. Because I think it's going to be an issue at some point for them. She might want him to be a bit more active, but I'm just judging her based on what she looks like. Again, because in my opinion, she cares about appearances. It's not it's not right. It's not most of the things that she said. It's her body language when she's seen him do certain things that I've also picked up as, ooh. But we'll see, because I don't think she might have an issue with how active he is and how maybe he cleans up. But then again, he seems relatively domesticated. Like, he knows his way around the kitchen, he knows how to cook, he knows how to bake. It didn't look like he was making a mess. He kind of cleaned up after himself. So maybe it might be like how he dresses, and I think if she says it the right way, they can kind of sort things out. And if she gets him moving a bit more than usual for his health, because I could hear the breathing, then I think he'll be fine. He also uses a pap. That will come later, because I said during the pods, after the pods. This is during the pods. So during the pods, he made her a cookie. He made her cookies, which was really cute. The ladies in the house liked it. I want to pick up on the fact that editor showed us that she said, oh, the ladies in the house liked it. She didn't say she liked it. I've got a question. Did she eat the cookie? Amber, did you eat the cookie? Are you sure you ate the cookie? Because if you ate the cookie, I feel like production would have told us that you ate the cookie. I think you didn't eat the cookie. Because something I noticed about her, she's very specific with the words that she uses. Like, I think she's very aware that she's on camera and she doesn't want to say anything. So she's very, very specific. She don't lie. I haven't noticed that she's lied about anything, but she's very specific about the words that she uses. She's a very interesting woman, Amber. He kind of, anyway, while they were in the pods, she opened up about the trauma, not trauma, it's the stigma that comes with being a younger woman with a child. But she was 28. She was 26 when she had a child, now she's 33. I know people who had kids when they were small, like when we were still in school. Anyway, but there is obviously something to the fact that obviously other 26 years, maybe the people around her were moving on with their lives, having jobs, all of that, and obviously now she's a mother at such a young age. But I don't know, at 26, I think that's normal, but that's just me. Not that I have a child, but still, bare 20 years with kids. Anyway, he then opened up about how he was, she was the one who said she was dorky. I think he then said kind of the same thing. Anyway, they're going to be dorky together. They seem relatively cute. When they met, they seemed quite comfortable with each other. If someone's there, if she's lying about it, it didn't show, I didn't see, is what I should say. Not that it didn't show, because it's likely that other people noticed, but I didn't notice. And to be honest, after the people get engaged on that show, I don't really pay attention to them. I just kind of, oh, yeah, cool, go on my phone and just scroll. They seem like if they put in the work, they could make it. For now, just based off of what I've seen on the show, they have nerdy interests. He's okay stepping up to be a father figure. It seems like their families will possibly get along from what they've said. What else? It seems like the way they show affection and receive affection, stuff like that, it kind of seems to match. Yeah, that's it for them. Well, Vic and Christine, very quickly. He's a professor. She's a pathologist, speech something. Very cute couple. From the start, they talked about family. She wants the kids, the picket fence. She wants to have the Super Bowl. She wants to be the Super Bowl family where everybody comes in and she caters for them. I said, good luck to you, lady. All that prep, people love it. I see it on TikTok all the time. Yeah, apparently people like to do that. So love that for her. He too was like, yeah, football, you know. They shared their trauma. She has a mother that is, that has issues and she didn't quite get along, but, she's in the end of life process. So it's going to be over soon and she's trying to kind of navigate that. He has an alcoholic father. No, stepfather, who I believe passed away. I don't know. He has a sister who's very, supportive of him. She has other family members and they kind of talked around that. I didn't hear them bring up race, but I believe obviously because they're not meant to talk about what they look like physically, I think they weren't really able to communicate that. But I do believe that they were able to communicate. It's likely that they talked about like where their politics kind of sit and stand and all of that, but they're both easy. That man is fine. Fine man. Because she said, she's dated people of other races. He said he's dated here and there. He's from New York, so, he's dating. The sample is wide and large and which is far, far away. And she said, same. Cool. I believe that was the length, the breadth and the width of the height and the width and everything of their political conversation. But I'm not judging. It's also likely that they didn't show it on Netflix. It seems like they're trying to stay away from controversial topics this season. Not one controversial shit was shown. Netflix, come on. Had a little spice. I mean, I saw it at the end, but that was not this. During the pod, sometimes you can tell that, some of them don't have sense. But anyway, speaking of Vic, someone says they had an angel tattoo somewhere that they got. They had nice banter. I wrote, crying, side eye. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm such a bitch. Why did I do that? I feel like her story was quite sad for what I remember. That's not funny. Because she said something about a fear of guilt that she feels like she's not doing enough for her mother, I believe. I don't know why I did that. Because I really like them as a couple. I don't know why I side-eyed her. Yeah, everything kind of seemed to kind of move slow, go well with them. They edited them quite well. You could see what I believe production was trying to do, or whoever was editing it was kind of parallel that with Cam and Lauren. But Cam and Lauren was so special. Whatever that editor did, it's not the editor, it's them. It's what they felt in that moment. And this comes very close. I'm not going to lie to you. It comes very, 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 very close. They're my very, 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 very much favorite this season. And they better make it to the goddamn altar. Otherwise, you and I, Netflix, will be having problems. They better make it. They are my favorite. They better goddamn make it. I'm dead ass. I'm so goddamn dead ass because he's so fine. And she's so kind. She's so kind. They better make it. And I'm not crying, you're crying. Literally, I said, oh my God, my heart, I could fucking cry. OMG, yeah. See, it's right there. If you could see that, I could cry. My heart. Oh my God, they're so cute. Like, they're so cute. I thoroughly enjoyed them. And to be honest, I'm going to talk about them after the pods as well, because it's just, the production was, I heard the production wasn't able to go with them. So I think they got off scot-free, I'm not going to lie to you. That's why I kind of think they actually chose to do that. And yeah, great. Good for them. Moving on to in the pods, Jessica and Chris. Now, he initially, and I'm talking about the pods, Jessica and Chris and what's her face? Chris and Brie, Connor and Brie, Connor and Emma and Mike and Emma and Steve. You see these? How many people? 6 people. Honestly, Jessica's the only normal one that I've seen so far out of all of them. Jessica and Mike. Let's talk about Jessica and Chris. Now, Jessica is an internal doctor or something. And Chris is in software sales. The first thing I said, I wrote shocking. Now, I believe he said this. Maybe it's me noticing. I don't know. But she's also small, so it works out. They're very cute together. Like physically, they look very cute together. Funny, calm energy was what he described her as. She said she's looking for someone to share life with. Now, Chris was also getting to know another lady. We shall call her Brie. Now, we'll do each one individually. Chris and Jessica, they end up getting engaged. In the pods, they made she made a declaration, actually. She said that Chris is her guy, right? And they were like, oh, they see each other. She sees them go into distance. But he had initially said to the producers that Brie, the other gal he was seeing, was his top, right? And then he discussed the age difference between him and Jessica, which is 8 years, I believe. And then he said him and Brie, she's younger. So he had to kind of, do that there and make a decision there. And then she said, don't pick me because I picked you. Like, you got to make up your mind yourself, big man, right? And I liked that she did that. That gave me that this woman is emotionally what? Intelligent. However, she don't have foresight. And you know what? It's not her fault. A lot of us don't have foresight, myself included. So therefore, they seemed very cute. They had, what did they have? He said she had the personalities that he was looking for. Someone calm, someone funny, someone kind. And she said something about how there's 2 hurdles. It's the finding that they have on the show. It's finding someone, right? And then when you find that someone, the second thing is you got to see if you guys can go the distance. Yeah, that's it. She then made the declaration that he's her guy. And then he's like, don't pick me because I picked you. But then maybe that kind of put pressure on Chris. That's not expressed to us in the editing. He kind of said, not in the editing, in the interview with the producers, he kind of said he sees Brie as bro, right? Because they banter, they chat, they do whatever. So like a friendship vibe type shit. And that he seems to have a bit more depth with Jessica. He's able to open up and share things and blah, 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 fucking da. He too, he said, I think you would make a great mom. You see, from here onwards, you will make a great mom. It's just like everybody's saying it. Every single man after this, it's just, I think you make a great mom. Anyway, they get engaged. They see each other. She's cute. Everyone seems to think he's very hot. He is in good physical shape. And it seems like there might be a little bit of a mismatch there, maybe. I'm not sure. But I don't think he doesn't bring it up as an issue in terms of like their lifestyle needing to match, right? If anything, that's the only thing that I feel like I've noticed. She's like, okay, I'll go on a walk with you, which is great. She gets her 10K steps in, she blah, 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 but she's not going to run. And she said, she ain't running. And he said, yeah, no, that's fine, blah, 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 blah. And because they were so cute at the end, I wasn't paying attention. Like I said, during this whole thing, it was really hard to pay attention. Anyway, moving on to Connor and Brie. Those two end up getting engaged. So Brie is the one that she was talking to Chris as well. So we find out anyway. They're the couple Brightside. That's what I called them. I think he said something about the song being her favorite. And I think she said she did something about the song Mr. Brightside anyway. They said they have a lot in common. They ski. She's very sporty. She seems like how do I say this? She seems like someone who has a lot of guy friends. Anyway, they have a lot in common. She skis. They do a lot of the same things. Something about Minneapolis something about them doing something as children, or the same thing as children in Minneapolis or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it seems like a fate type shit. I feel like I've done this before. He's the one who he wants to coach his son. She also wants to coach her daughters in cheerleading or something like that. I don't know. Some sports family type shit fantasy there, Okay. And he wants to drive a van with the kids in the van, and it was very cute, And she was like, no way, that's so cringe. No, leave me in the sports car. I was like, okay, all right. She called him a little slow burn cutie star, something. Anyway. Also, Chris kept rating people. He's like, oh, you get 5 stars, you get 4 stars. And then he's like, oh, 3 stars. Oh, up 2 more stars now that you said something. And I'm like, okay, this is just me. Now I'm just critiquing as me. Like, if that was like, you know what, I do like a little bit of praise, but I wouldn't have liked the 3 stars. What do you mean? You get a 3 star. Oh, now that you said this, you get a 2 star. Who the fuck are you? That pissed me off. I better get the fucking 5 stars for the first round. The fuck you mean? Anyway, they talked about their parents. What did he open up about? He got emotional about being normal. Yeah. That kind of stood out to me as what the fuck? He also had a lot of... Was he the one that was perambulating up and down? Walking here and there? I think it was him that was perambulating. He was just walking. Was it him? I don't remember. Anyway, there was someone with a lot of nervous energy. It was freaking me out. I didn't like it. Anyway, Chris, yeah, he got emotional about being normal. And she was like, she sees him being in her future. Yeah, he was very positive. He gassed her up a lot and like, blew smoke up her ass, and she, held that in. And she's like, I think he was gushing and gushing and gushing. And he was saying stuff. And then she goes, yeah, same. I said, oh, a bit like me, not paying attention span of a goldfish. Attention span of a goldfish. Anyway, she says she thinks about him a lot, and she's been thinking about him a lot. And I think this was where she was like, oh, you know what you got to do now? And he was like, yeah, I think I know what I've got to do. But to be honest, I thought his connection with the other girl was going a lot smoother than Brie, because Connor was dating Emma. Yes, but Emma, we'll come to talk about her, she don't want kids. And Mr. Connor, he's a baby guy. He's the one who wants to drive the van. Of course, he's gonna edge his bets elsewhere. And he did. And he stood in his decisions. And then she was like, I guess we're both thinking the same thing. And they're thinking the same thing. He's like, okay. So he goes to Emma, breaks it off. We'll get to them in a little bit. But at this point, right, they're chatty. Brie and Connor decide to break it off with everybody. So Brie breaks it off with, with Chris, right? And it seems like when they had that conversation, they were very much, that's Chris and Brie. They were pretty much doing the same thing-ish. I'll come back to that a little bit. But anyway, with Brie and Connor, they do that. They kind of cut everybody off. And I'm confused, right? Because he had just had a conversation with Emma. So Connor just had a conversation with Emma where, again, it didn't seem like it was a breakup type shit. But again, I feel like maybe when you're in the pod, your emotion is still heightened. Yes, he was the one with the nervous energy. It was stressing me out because, yeah, he was walking up and down. Anyway, Connor, he then, I have a note here that he's wishy-washy because to Emma, he was confessing his love and she didn't want to let things go. I remember. Yes. And so I already said that I think that him and Emma would have made a better couple, but they end up getting engaged. I was so confused by that whole thing, to be honest. They just decided and it was so done, and it didn't give me the feels. It gave me very much confused. It gave me, Jesus Christ, give yourself some time to actually decide and get to know the other people that you're talking to. Because like I said, Connor and Emma, they seemed like the better match. And her and Chris seemed like a better match-ish. No, not a better match, but they seemed like they were still in the process of building something. And Chris and Jessica were still kind of in the early stages. And Jessica was doing the whole, don't pick me, let's still keep getting to know each other type thing, right? So in my opinion, they kind of cut things off with the other people too early. But I think they wanted that assurance that they were going to go the distance. So they decided to cut other people off. And also it seemed to me that it was more her idea. And he just kind of went along with it. Because again, I said he gave wishy-washy nervous energy. Right, so now I'll talk about Chris and Brie's little stint in the pod. They kind of connect on the whole thing. People kind of outside the pod were saying Chris and Brie had really good connections. You know, he was like, she challenges him in different ways. Connor also says the same thing, that he challenges her. Because remember how I said she gives me vibes that she has a lot of guy friends? She roasts this man. I feel like, excuse me, her communication style is very much bro, you know? And I don't think Connor likes it. Honestly, I think he was lying to himself that he did. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, they have a lot. Their moving back to Chris and Brie, their humor was very samey. She was like, oh, she felt very safe and secure with him. She never said that about Connor. Again, that's why I didn't get it, because it seemed like they were building stuff with other people. So why did she say, oh, it sounds like you know what you're going to do? Like, why did she do that? I was very confused by this. Because anyway, moving on. I think Jessica is a good match for Chris. their demeanor, or while maybe slightly opposite, I think they could make things work. But because of who Brie is, you know, she had a lot of chemistry with Chris, and there would have been a triangle between Chris. It's likely that Brie saw that there could have been a triangle between her, Chris, and Jessica, so she decided to bow out because maybe she don't want to, she don't want to do that. And it's likely when you're in that little container bit that they're at, they're chatting about the men, and maybe things get out, and she was like, oh, she's oh no, I don't want to compete with her. But I don't know. I'm just speculating. This is speculation. Anyway, Chris and Brie, they're chatting, they're getting to know each other. She's very expressive with him. She really, really lets her guard down with this guy. I'm being for real. They do not show us that much when it comes to her letting her guard down with Connor. And in my opinion, there wasn't much depth there, which again was why I was confused as well, Right, so Brie, she's an independent woman. She kind of does things, she does what she wants. But also she wants someone to care for her. She wants someone to kind of nurture her. And Connor gives that energy. And I believe it's likely that that's why she went with him. Maybe Chris wasn't able to give her that assurance that he could do all those things for her. So yeah, she wants to rely on someone, and she doesn't want to be taken advantage of because she tends to, always help people out, all of that. But when she said, although, she wants to rely on someone, all of that, I was just like, you've got to be careful with that, because when it's to rely on someone, just make sure not too much, and you also got to know stuff about what's going on around you and in your relationship as well. She then goes, Connor's her number one, and he's like, well, fair play to you because Jess is my number one type shit. There's so many number ones and number twos. Very stupid. And then they break up, and it's relatively neat. We'll come to see after the pods that maybe not so much. Moving on to Connor and Emma. Now, Connor and Emma, I didn't like their editing. Yeah, something about it, I didn't like it. Because I don't know what it was. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But they showed us them. Anyway, I'll get to it. So Emma is a retail merchant, something like that. He likes her name, has star sign or something like that. He thinks he heard her voice and thought that she was hot immediately. And that Connor is the nervous energy guy. And he kind of lost his mind, and he was perambulating up and down. I was like, my guy, sit down. They had a lot of depth. They really talked about, he got her to open up a lot. And honestly, I think if it wasn't the children thing and him not wanting to constantly seem like he was trying to convince her to say yes to the children thing, and so he wrote her off, which fair play, she was very strong in her communication to him that it's likely that she's leaning no. Although she was leaning, I don't know. He wasn't able to bring that out in her, that part that the other guy seemed to have brought out in her in the pods. But that wasn't until in my opinion, I think the other guy that she ended up getting engaged to was only able to bring out that side of her because her heart was broken by Connor. Right, because she was still playing her cards to her chest relatively, closely, right? She didn't open up as much, or she didn't feel vulnerable yet, right? So she felt no haste, right? Or maybe in hindsight, once she realized it's likely that Connor broke up with her because of the children thing, she was a bit more open up to it because she realizes the kind of men that she could possibly lose, men that she could love. And so she decided to give the other guy that she had a connection with a chance, and fair play to her. But anyway, their relationship was, I actually enjoyed them getting to know each other a lot. He was very funny. They had chat for each other, and they were very cute. He was also very determined he was like, oh, you make a great mum. And he was quite insistent on that, actually. And she was like, she had to remind him a couple times. She was like, just to remind her, just, because at that time she wasn't letting it go. And I think Connor didn't have the right words to be like, you know what, if you do, fine. If you don't, we'll cross that bridge when we get there type stuff. He didn't have the right words to tell her, to reassure her that he loved her. Which it seems the other guy was able to do because he also actually doesn't want children. And so does Connor, but I guess Connor didn't want to chance it, right? Yeah, they were able to picture each other's future. There's a lot of picturing going on and imagining the future and what that could look like. But in their forward thinking, because this is now, I guess this is just my part now. When I think about living with someone or like being in a partnership with someone, I'm thinking, if they're snoring, can I take it? Like after work when they come back and they're happy, it will get on my nerves. Like, why are you happy? You just, I'm a terrible person. Yeah, just I'm thinking about the realities. Like, what are you really like? Like, forget fantasy. Yeah, we all want the fucking picket fence. We all want that I'm gardening and you're doing the pushing the lawnmowers type shit, but I'm cutting the roses. We all have that. Yeah, that's not the real thing. The real thing is if you open your mouth in the morning and I get a whiff. Do I want to kick you out of my bed in the morning and tell you to fuck off? When the baby is crying, are you gonna get up? You know? What's our energy bill gonna be like? How much do you make? What's the mortgage gonna be? What area are we gonna live in? The house that we want, can the job that we have right now, can we afford it? If we can't, what are you gonna do? What are we gonna do to make sure we can? If you can't meet me there, it's not happening. In their future thinking, they're thinking about the picturesque things, you know, the beautiful things, the warm moments. That's the part you see in movies, or I'm just saying, that's the part you see in movies. That's the nice part. That's not the shitty part. But anyway, they did that and they were able to all romanticize their futures. Of course, they're gonna fucking romanticize their futures. Who's that's the problem I have with this thing. That's the problem. That's the problem. They're not thinking about the realities. That's how that one ended up with pap smear. Or not pap smear. Pap smear is not the right thing. CPAP. Because we're not sleeping in the same room. I'm telling you now. We're not sleeping in the same room. It's not possible. Anyway, back to Connor and Emma. He's worried that she might think of physical things. Oh, right, physical attraction could grow and work on the outside. I guess that's kind of what he was worried about. Obviously, they give him questions, right? And in this season, maybe I've mentally grown or something. I could just tell. I don't like it. Why did I have to grow? I could just tell that, like, they're using prompts. Like, it's fine. But the issue with having prompts is, like, it's not organic. But anyway, they're having conversations and getting to know each other, and he's worried about, you know, if they see each other and, like, they're not attracted to each other. Which, again, it's a fair thing to be worried about. She's obviously wishy-washy with the kids thing. She's really not sure. But it's the way, it was such a touchy subject for her because Emma has been through a lot. When she was like 8, before she was 10, she'd had 10 surgeries, you know, and she has this scar on her arm that she's very insecure about and how that would kind of look like. And she was very insistent on not exposing that she seemed to not want to talk about the fact that she was adopted. But in my head, I'm thinking, and this might sound very cold, I'm not sure, but if someone tells me, oh, I'm adopted, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, if anything, I'd ask, like, you know, how did your family bring you in, or blah, 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 like, everything cool, all of that shit. Like, you know, you hear the worst about adoption stories and how, you know, their adoptive parents were abusive, all of that. But that clearly wasn't the case here. With Emma, they were very loving, they were very encouraging, the family that she grew up with. But because she's of Chinese heritage, she didn't want to share that. But when you tell someone, I'm adopted, or I don't think, where did they adopt you from? Regardless of your race, like, if you tell me, oh, I'm adopted, unless you specify, oh, my parents are white, oh, my parents are black, oh, my parents are this, I would just say, oh, cool, like, you're adopted. Or if I see you physically, and I've seen your parents already, or your parents are there, and then you wouldn't have to tell me that you're I guess my point is, I don't know why she made it an issue, because it was a non-issue. Unless she had an issue with it. And it seemed like there's definitely something that, you can't convince me that there's nothing there. Because she kept going on about it. Not other people. She was the one who brought it up and kept bringing it up. Right, and then, but he was, like I said, Connor was quite insistent on the whole kids thing. And then she had to remind him about her stance on kids. And, like, she was very strong and stuff, whatever with him. They then go away and then they come back, right? This is then after Connor they had this conversation. She kind of shut him down about the kids thing. He then goes off with Bree, talks to Bree first. They have the, you know what you got to do conversation, right? Right. So then he comes back to Emma and then he's like to Emma, well, they're chatting. Everything's going well at first, right? It seems like he's not going to do it. And to be honest, I thought he was going to chicken out. I'm not going to lie to you. I 100% thought he was going to chicken out and pick Emma, but he didn't. But while they're talking, Emma's telling him, oh, he's the one. You know, he's her number one type shit. Emma too herself, she's gone into the girls' room, and she's gone off. She's chatted about her love of Connor and how he's her number one. Anyway, he ends up breaking up with her. She kind of cried. She was super emotional. Right, Connor he explained to Emma that he also has another connection, and he's like, well, she goes, you know, she's okay with him exploring that connection as he explores their connection as well, but he wasn't. He was like, well, no, blah blah. He then ends things with her. It was tough, but he chose Brie, and that was the end of that. He said he had that feeling more with Brie, but to be honest, I don't think that he did. I think he had more of a connection with Emma. Because they were both able to let their guards down with each other, and they shared a lot. And we'll come to find out that even their temperament, you can see on the outside that it's so well matched. Fortunately, well, no, unfortunately for sure. Now moving on to Emma and Mike. Now, we had initially seen Emma and Mike, their conversations, but it was given. She expressed to Mike. So Mike is, I don't remember what Mike does. I didn't write it down. She thinks he's attentive, and he is attentive to her. And to Mike, she was his number one from the get-go, that they should. Because we know that people lie, including Emma. Yes, that's why I didn't feel sorry for her, because she's a liar. Anyway, so Emma doesn't know. Emma doesn't know she wants kids, like, you know. So Mike doesn't, like, he wants kids, obviously, but he's okay to wait because he's not in a hurry to have children, because I believe he's 20, he's in his late 20s or early 30s. He's in his early 30s, I think. Well, one of them, I don't remember. Anyway, she's quite young. She's very young, actually. I think she's like 20. I don't even think she's 25 at this point. I'm exhausted. Anyway, their chat wasn't really special until after she gets her heart broken. And they talk about other stuff. But anyway, they kind of show us more. They show us more after she's broken up. She's been broken up with, right, by Connor. And she goes to him, tells within her, whatever, and she's like, yeah, she's just been broken up with. It wasn't mutual. She was honest about that because she wanted to keep going there. And he was like, well, you've been my number one type shit. And then, what's her face? She lies. This woman says, kind of verbatim, her second cuts things off. She didn't have to lie. She didn't have to tell him anything about number one and number two. All she had to say is the other guy that she has a connection with kind of cut things off, and now, you know, she's ready to focus on theirs and kind of give it that attention. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's what she had to say. But you lie. She lied. She lied because we heard her in the common room saying that her number one just broke up with her. And so what? What now? Anyway, whatever the fuck. She goes to Mike. She's gagging for it because obviously she's just been broken up with. Mike has been waiting all day to chat to her. Now she's looking for validation from Big Mike. Big Mike with the cute ears. Very cute. Emma, I'm side-eyeing you. Just so you know. She obviously opens up about her health issues with him and really expressed how that was such a, you know, it kind of shaped her into who she is today. Which again, look, fair play, you know. And she really expressed why she didn't want children is because she had, you know, she has a likelihood of like skin cancer, and then he goes, they could just get like gene testing type stuff done. When the fuck did I start talking like this? He then says he's happy for them to get gene tested and to see if she'll pass on any, you know, dangerous genes to her future children. And like, it seems like that seemed to pacify her. But honestly, I don't think that that's the issue. I think she's very young and she doesn't know if she wants kids yet. This woman can't make her mind up about anything. You could, the way they edited it at the start, that was what it came off as. You could tell that she was young and somewhat naive, somewhat not essentially. You know, she knows what she's doing. Like, there's emotional intelligence there for sure, but there's there's a particular childishness about it. She makes this children thing. It's all fluff. I couldn't give a toss. Oh, I could have heard the other one chat about her kids. You know what? Bring back the guy with the kid from last season, and I would have listened to him moan about his kids. And not this one. That's harsh, innit? Oh, God, no more raw. Like, she just kept. They get engaged. Yeah. What my notes about this particular couple, I said, this one, I don't know, but I'll wait. I'll see. I said, he thinks he's the right man. She would want to have kids with, or I think she said that. No, he said it to kind of prove himself type shit, that he would be a good father to her children. Aha, here. I said, Netflix, I hope you address her saying the number 2 thing. That was a lie. But she said it. But she said it was not mutual. So I guess that wasn't a lie. But she did say the number 2 thing was a lie. Him too, he said she would be a great mother. I side-eyed him as well. Everybody will be a great mother. How do you know? Have you lived with me before? How you take no? On talk when we talk, when you never seen me before. You never seen me Chris. You've not seen me stressed out. So how you take no? How? I could be a... We know that Netflix don't be vetting people. I could be an abuser, be slapping kids up and down. You don't know what my parenting style is. What I tell you that you will believe. A lie. Because people can lie. And people can pretend in the pods. So how you take no? How do you know that I will be a good mother? That's what I would have asked. If I was this woman, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know? I'm supposed to trust. That's the problem. You're supposed to trust that the other person is being honest. And because you trust and you open yourself up, that's how you grow, or something like that. Okay. Yeah, we trusted people up and down. Anyway, they got engaged to get us from my site, and I wasn't paying attention after that. Now, Emma had a little thing with Steve. I've heard not great things about the Steve guy. After the fact, there's a lot of stuff going on around. Steve, he's, I don't know, he there was the dog thing. The fun guy. He seemed like a fun guy. Right, he didn't want to ask tough questions first, you know. He has this whole saver complex, whatever shit going on. I put a question mark. He said something that made me want to vomit in my mouth as well. Right, I wrote here, the cynic in me wants to vomit in my mouth. I don't know why. It might be about the whole, he was talking about, would you adopt a dog? But I think he adopted a dog. And then he said, would she adopt kids if she was a no to kids? Because he was fine with whether she wanted kids or not. And then he said he wanted to become a big brother or something. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm such an asshole. Terrible, honestly. And then she said she taught senior citizens at some point. I was like, oh my God, it's so cute. I actually wrote too cute. I hate it. Sue me, yeah? I don't do cute shit. He was okay with her, right? He was okay with her not wanting kids. They had this whole, can he be serious type shit? And then they had a serious conversation. He kind of called himself a sensitive sensei. She was like, oh, made me sick, gross, cringe, goofy, whatever. She was kind of getting deep and stuff. And he was like, anyway, their communication style just, it weren't here. And she'd say something kind of serious. He'll say something serious adjacent and try to kind of bring it back to like make it fun. They didn't get each other. I made a note. He's weirdly perceptive, but in the wrong way. Like, he'll notice that she's trying to open up to him, but his response back to that openness was a bit weird. Yeah, that was when he called himself a sensitive sensei, because he was like, she said, oh, can you be serious? Like, of course I can be serious. I can be deep. He was like, I'm a deep guy. I'm a sensitive sensei. That's it. Because she said, can you be serious for a second? He said, yeah, of course I can. And so he knows, you could tell by his facial expressions, like he knows this is a moment not to be jovial, not to make jokes. But then he goes with it and says, yeah, I'm sensitive sensei. La la la. And then she opens up about something. She talked about her birthmark, the removal of it, the melanoma. Maybe she didn't want to say the word cancer. I don't know. Melanoma, possible risk of melanoma, I think, and like how that kind of affected her self-esteem. And like, it's a somber moment, right? And this guy just, he chats so much shit. I didn't even write down anything he said. I just wrote, "This is the moment you stay quiet, my guy." Like, and like I said, like he can tell that there is something in this moment that he's supposed to be saying, but he just doesn't say the right things. He doesn't have the emotional intelligence to realize sometimes it's okay to say nothing. You don't got to prove yourself. You don't have to like. And then he did this thing where he tried to change the topic. And she was just like, what? Like, what are you doing? And that's where I praise Emma, because she was able to have the foresight. She said, you know, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And she didn't like his responses. And fair play. Fair play to her. Like, she's opening up to you and you're doing banter, trying to change the topic into something lighter. But she's like, can you be serious? Like, that's what she's chatting about right now. And anyway, yeah, they end up breaking up. And that's the end of that.